Hello and welcome to today's tutorial, for loops. So, for loops are interesting. Very powerful for drawing. I'm going to show you how to generate a star sky at the moment. Nice and easy, quick, simple, and it should give you the gist of what for loops do. So here I'm just going to put in a diamondy kind of shape. You can do circles, whatever you want. I'm just going to make it white. Like that, center the object. Now, for loops are very powerful because you can use them to call arrays, and that's what they're normally used for. Oh good, my text has stayed the same size. Excellent. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a variable star x array if I can count star array count, and we'll use that in a moment. This is kind of a array tutorial as well. So arrays are buckets, or we can call them. And basically, from what I remember, last time I pushed an array to its max was 32,000 entries at layer 1. Which basically means, in programming terms, you can have 32,000 entries in this array, and then in each of those entries you can cache another array with the same amount of data. So it gets quite large quite quickly. So as you can see, I've just got that, and all I'm going to do is copy and paste. And what this is going to give us is basically the ability to set an X and Y coordinate preset in the room. Minus, that should be height for Y. So we're just setting an X and Y for the sprite we're going to draw. The important part here is I'm going to show you guys some cool tricks and tips, so to say. So you can see I've just set the star array count to 0, which is there, which controls the array, which means that will preset as 0. What I'm going to do now though is I'm going to go repeat, which means it will repeat this step, and I'm going to say 300 times. Now you're going to be saying, but Joseph, I've got the same array that's going to keep overriding itself. Yes, that is absolutely correct. So here I'm going to go plus equals 1. 1, not 4, 1. So as you can see here, it's going to repeat, create an array with a random height, or width and height in the room. It's then going to add 1 to the instance. The other thing I'm going to do, just to be a bit more fancy, is I'm going to go array star color array. If I just don't button mash my computer, I'll take the same star count, because the important thing with this is all of these need to line up in your data. So we're going to create 3 arrays all at the size of 300, and they all line in together simultaneously. And I'm just going to make a color here, RGB, and I'm just going to go it's 512, so not 512, 255. So if I go over here for a second, grab my calculator because I can't maths. Divide 2. So I'm going to go 127 plus I random, because this is a it needs to be an integer, it doesn't do point value. And then I'm just going to rinse and repeat that 3 times. So you can see each of those is just setting an RGB color with a random portion. I'm just making sure it doesn't set itself too dark. Okay, so you can see here now I've got a color, X, Y, and I add 1 to the count array. So if I run that in my room, it will not look very impressive at all, because I haven't actually told it to do anything other than generate array data. So as you can see, very boring. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go here, draw. First thing I'm going to do is draw rectangle color, and I'm going to set the 0, 0, room width, room height. Now, this is where I might get it wrong. Color, because normally I just set them straight to thing, but you can actually, well, dark gray is not going to do what I want it. There we go. Navy should do. And I think, again, don't hold me to this, because I can never remember how these go in order, because I do not use them enough. I'll also set that to false. So that whole bit of script there is very simple. All I'm doing is drawing a rectangle. So let's just first make sure I got this right, because I might get this wrong. Let's find out. Oh, for once I got it right. So you can see here we get this nice orange to blue. So the other thing I'm just going to quickly modify is in here, room height, I'm just going to go divide 2, which means I'll only draw in the upper half. So let's actually get this for loop running. So for loops, the way Gamemaker explains them is you can go var bracket, and then you go for I equals 0. And I call these temporary values. They're values that only get called in this piece of script. You can draw them, but they get redone every time the script reads, because the machine or the computer will read it as line, 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 start again, line, line, line. So if you say I is equal to 0, blah, it will then every time reset itself back to 0. What I did see though was someone in the Gamemaker forums, can't remember who, but did this, which is actually a little neater for code. And then I'm going to say I is less than, and I'm just going to reference whatever I called it, so star array count. And you can actually do this by checking array depth as well. Array count. So I needs to be less than for this for loop to activate. Bracket I plus equals 1. You can also do plus plus I. So it's really up to you. Just plus plus means add 1. But I'll just do plus equals 1. Just keep it simple. So in here, I'm going to go draw. And I'm going to draw the sprite. The sprite is sprite star. No subimage because we don't have an animation. And then in here, I'm just going to retrieve one of my arrays because they're basically the same. Put in the bracket again, but instead of doing the array count, I'm going to reference I. Because what I is going to do is I is equal to 0. I is less than array count, which is 300. I will plus equals to 1. And it's going to loop like this repeat here. But instead of the repeat where it just repeats vaguely 300 times, the for loop dynamically runs through. You can put if statements in here. You can do anything you want. So basically you don't have to put I. You can put A, Z. You can even give it a name like array count. It doesn't matter. I is just what they use, and it's just what I use. So let's see what this looks like. So if I go over here, look, we get some pretty dodgy looking stars. So if I come back here, and just the other little thing I'm going to do, so this is my create event, as you can see, create up the top, and this is my background. So what I'm going to do is in here, I'm also going to include a star scale array. And what this should hopefully do, and you can see just how easy it is once you've got your setup arrays, how easy it is to add new stuff in. So I'm just going to do random, if I can spell, range, bracket, and I'm going to do from 0.001, which is tiny, to I should just do 1. So basically this is going to select a number between x and x, or 0.1 to 1, which will indicate scale size. And then what I'm going to do here is change my sprite to sprite extra. just because it gives me, as you can see down here at the bottom, it gives me a whole bunch of new commands I can use. So, for example, scale. Oh, if I don't totally stuff it up. I still need a reference I, because I'm calling my scale function. My rotation, no rotation. And remember how we made that color? So I can come back here. I can take my array color. I'm going to plug it in there. Not P, I want I. And then my alpha is just 1, because we haven't messed with the alpha. So you can see here, it does get a little bit long. See if I can fit it all on my screen. Nope. How did I change? So you can see here, if I can, to zoom in and out with Gamemaker is F7 and F8. So if you see me fumbling around, that's why. So you can see here I've got draw sprite, X, Y, scale, angle is nothing, star color is the color I've set, and 1 for alpha. Let's see what this looks like then, once it loads. So you can see here we've actually got this nice, bit more of a cooler looking background. So what else can we do? Stars normally twinkle, and because this is in a circle, we'll add a rotation. So what I'm also going to do then is, let's just do this, and see the star scale, we just change that to star R, because R is rotation. And what we do is you just go random, because we don't need random range, and we can say 360, and we take that, we can then plug that directly into rotation, and then we'll just reference I again. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to plug in A for alpha, and I'm also going to set alphas, because stars twinkle. So we go random. What we actually need is the same calculation here. And what we're going to do is we're going to then go in here, and I'll show you how to set up an if statement as well. So you can see it does get quite long, but you can actually plug in a lot of data and do a lot of cool things with it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go if. So now this is where it gets really powerful with if statements inside loops. So you can see I'm going to reference the alpha, but it's going to reference it depending on the array entry. So if it's array entry 5, I'm going to only affect that entry's alpha level. The rest will remain as they are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically say is greater than 0. I'm going to say minus equals 0.01. Remember, we're dealing in very small values when it comes to alphas, because it's a percentage value, so I'm taking 1% away each cycle. Else, array I, that's 1, I, is, behave computer, is equal to 1. So I reset it. So that takes it, and then once it can't perform it, it resets itself. Let's see what this looks like. And hopefully it works and doesn't make me a liar. So there you go, we've got some twinkling. You can see the stars aren't all in the same direction as well. So what else is wrong with this? It's far, far too quick. And like I said, we're dealing with very minute values, so I'm going to add an extra 2 zeros. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw another rectangle when it wants to play. Oh, okay, I must have... There it goes. Rectangle. I'm going to draw it from 0, room height, divide 2, so that now sets it in the middle. I'm then going to go room width, room height, false, so no outline. Now that would normally draw, I'm just going to zoom this in for you guys, it's just going to draw a black square, but I'm going to go draw, set, color, bracket, color green, and I'm going to draw over that black with a green shade. And then I'm just going to set it back to black, because that's Gamemaker's default color. And let's just see what that's done to the game, and see if it's made it any better. Kind of. That could go a bit further. But you can see now the stars twinkling is a lot slower, and looks a little more natural. Obviously, they're not the proper colours of how stars form, but let's not get into that yet. So you can see it's quite easy to do, and you just take some lateral thinking. And for example, if I just go pluses down, minuses up, so if I say another 200 to that, that should now plop it a little further down and look nice. And as you can see, if I want to add something like a sun as well, all I'll do is rinse and repeat this, except change this to orange, and I need it to be above my last bit of code. But instead of a rectangle, we go circle. And you can do, I'm fully aware you can do circles with colors and stuff like that. So not a lot of need to point that out to me. I am aware of stuff like that. I'm just showing you guys another way to do it. So I'm going to say the sun will be 400. But it does need to be, I'm actually pretty sure on top, underneath my draw, but above my star script, because stars don't sit in front. Or I can just totally stuff that up. Totally. Room. Spot my mistake, kids. Height. Whoops, that should be width. Divide 2. Okay, I was wrong. It does need to go underneath that. It does need to go here. And 400 might be much, so I'll just set it to 200. Let's see what this looks like. And if it all works, this will be the end. Oh, and there you go. So you have a sunset with stars and grass. So as you can see, not too hard to do. I hope this was helpful. If you liked it, favorite, like, and subscribe, all that rubbish. Comment on anything you want to see next. Yes, I am busy. I just found a huge problem with what I've been developing, and I've had to fix it. That's why I hadn't put up any videos. I found a lovely bug where Gamemaker keeps resetting everything when things spawn. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.